I've left my job. I've told no one. Last week, I signed a contract with a new company, Co. No specifics, but I work in tech and was headhunted for this new role. I made my online CV searchable, and within a couple of hours, I'd been contacted. They must have had an alert set up or something, which is simultaneously flattering and a bit creepy. Anyway, my old company, Co., were going places. Their words, not mine, when I joined in 2022. The terms of my contract were clear. 3 years, working solely on Project A. Pretty straightforward. Unfortunately, the company had a silent partner, Co., who became increasingly less silent as time progressed. Project A not only required funding from Co., but it also needed to run alongside multiple other projects both within Co. and at some of Co.'s other subsidiary companies. I always manage my own projects, and being reliant on other projects in other companies wasn't just something that I hadn't been told about. It was something that I'd asked about and specifically been told that Project A was unrelated. To say that I was disappointed when I found out that I'd been lied to would be an understatement, but I always consider myself a professional and try to behave accordingly. I still had the majority of my contract to run, was being well paid, and most importantly, I enjoy my work. However, the bond of trust with Co. had been irreparably broken. Co. would shift timelines, Co. would delay funding, the project was overrunning by months, and the costs were increasing. Budgets were being allocated to Project A, then being withdrawn and redistributed to other projects. I would just do my part, getting everything done that I could, providing reports on where we were, why we needed other projects to be completed before we could move forward with Project A, and giving adjusted dates on when this could be achieved. These reports were pretty thorough and were sent every time something happened elsewhere that directly impacted Project A. Feedback was minimal. Occasionally, I'd get a "thanks for the update," but mostly there was no response from Co. or Co. Due to all the delays and removal of funding, Project A is nowhere near complete, but as I mentioned earlier, I signed a 3-year contract in 2022. That contract ended 2 days ago. Not one person from Co. or Co. has been in contact regarding a new contract or an extension. Total silence. So, 2 days ago, I went into the office, put my laptop and phone on the desk, wrote a generic "thank you and goodbye" letter to leave next to it, and walked out for good. There's a chance they think I'm on holiday. Contractors don't get paid leave, but I had mentioned to a few people that me and my girlfriend were off to somewhere warm in October, but it's not as if it was added to a work calendar or anything. So who knows? My job with Co. starts in January, and I'm in the fortunate position of being able to afford a few months off. So I'm already looking forward to a Christmas and New Year completely absent of work or stress. Neither Co. nor Co. have been in touch yet, but presumably they'll eventually realize I'm gone. My consultant rates are pretty reasonable if they want me to do a proper handover, and I'll do it, as I have no issue with anyone outside management. Everyone else I dealt with was lovely. The clock is ticking, though, and it will be done on my terms and at my convenience. Update. Bloody hell, didn't expect so many notifications. It's a throwaway account, BTW. Should have mentioned that. I saw someone had checked for botness, not a word. I'm literally off to the airport in half an hour, but I'll answer your questions. If no contract extension was offered or given, you didn't quit, you were let go. I said I'd left, not quit. These contracts are generally extended, or an extension offered, once it becomes obvious that the original time frame won't be met. In this instance, I suspect that either Co. and Co. both thought it was the other's responsibility, and nothing was done, or, more likely, they're badly managed, and it never occurred to them. Would sort of love to work for a company like this, since it seems like you could get away with just about anything. Believe me, you wouldn't. It's incredibly frustrating. I just want to say this was well written, clear and easy to follow. Thank you. There are so many confusing posts on Reddit, and I was happy to see this one where it was clear what was happening. Thank you. My English teacher would be so proud. I would have negotiated an extension until Project A was done and then slacked off to the point they fired me. To be honest, once I'd been blatantly lied to initially, I had no interest in extending. Also, wouldn't want a firing on my record. If I were leader at Co., I would be disappointed. Does OP have any concern about possible damage to reputation in the profession industry? If I were the cause of any of the delays, then professional pride would have possibly made me stay and clear my mess up. But that wasn't the case here. Co. lied to get me on board, knowing that I wouldn't have joined if they'd been honest with me. I don't think they're in a position to be disappointed in me. You seem pretty organized, OP, so you've probably checked anyway. But does your contract have a silent auto-renewal clause? In the UK, for example, the end of a fixed-term contract can be deemed a dismissal, so certain processes should be followed for the contract to end. If they aren't, the contract may continue to be valid, especially if the employment surpasses the 2-year mark. All depends on the wording of the contract. The contract specified a fixed end date, no rolling month-to-month extension or anything like that. As I mentioned above, this is fairly standard, but it's on the company to offer an extension or renewal, rather than on me to chase one. I'm curious about what constitutes a reasonable consultant rate. Me too. Beach time. See you in a couple of weeks. Maybe they'll have noticed by then. If not, my ego will take a big hit. Update. Hello again. I returned from Madeira on Wednesday, all relaxed, perfectly serene, in an almost zen-like state. Then I opened my email. Obviously, I have email on my phone, but that's very much a personal device. My dedicated work email account had been gathering dust since I went away. When I'm on holiday, I'm on holiday. So I went straight to the Old Co. Silent Co. folder and started going through them. It all seemed to kick off the Friday after I left. I'd always send status reports every Friday, and me not doing so that week must have set a few alarm bells ringing. Old Co. asked me for the status report late that Friday, to which they'd have received my out-of-office reply, informing them that I was on holiday because I'm nice, but not specifying a return date because I'm not that nice. On the following Monday, Silent Co. got in touch, acknowledging that they'd screwed up and to please call us urgently upon your return. Not sure if the panic of their email was assumed or imagined, but it certainly felt like there was an air of desperation to it. About a dozen more emails were sent to me between Old Co. and Silent Co. over the next week and a half, some of which you'd class as essentially begging letters. Honestly, their lack of dignity was almost embarrassing. I emailed both Old Co. and Silent Co. yesterday, saying that I'd been away and have just seen their messages, and would they like to set up a three-way call later that day. You've never seen an online meeting arranged so quickly. First thing they did was apologize for losing track of the contract situation, aka paying zero attention to the contract situation, and offered a new 3-year contract, on slightly, but not significantly better terms. As I mentioned in my original post, I have a new role already lined up, but I also wasn't interested in renewing with Old Co. Silent Co. They immediately offered far better terms, presumably under the impression that I was playing hardball, but I quickly shut that down and made the following proposal. I will do 50 hours maximum of consultancy in November, dates and times to be mutually agreed. I will receive full pay for the month of November at my previous rate. This will involve a full and thorough handover, access to all documentation since day one. I kept everything, not sure anyone else has, and agree a new time frame for the completion of Project A. The above is on the proviso that they appoint someone who I can actually hand over to, and that the data and projections from all the other Project A areas are made available. That's it really. They agreed to those terms, and have actually been headhunting Tony, an old friend and former colleague of mine, to take over, so hopefully that all goes through. It turns out that my consultancy rates are about 3.5 times my usual rates, and I could have probably gone higher, given the speed that they accepted my terms. Not the most exciting end to this tale, but I'm getting a nice little bonus out of it. Old Co. Silent Co. get a full handover and good replacement, and Project A itself will still probably never be completed. A couple of footnotes. I'd already prepped a full handover. I had no idea if someone was taking over when I initially left, so I'd completed one anyway. They didn't even ask me about it. Don't worry, Tony has been advised of what the management are like. Madeira is beautiful this time of year.